Hello, hello!
Hey, hey!
Welcome back to another episode of ISBN-Depth. I just realized when I was typing this, and I wrote it stream of thought, that we don't usually do ourselves an introduction.
No,
so, I am Sam. I work in the cataloging department and run several programs, including the podcast, Adult Anime Club, and soon to be joining the Cookbook Club, and adding an after-school teen anime program. So I'll be pretty booked up.
You're a busy gal.
And this is Alexis, our reference librarian. You can usually find her on the second floor. And this month's episode theme is books about libraries and librarians. So that's how we got this. I love this title. It's so dumb. Librarians reading library books. So, yeah.
About libraries.
About libraries or librarians.
Yes. Okay, so April is School Library Month, and it also celebrates National Library Week, which is from April 7th through the 13th of this year.
I should have picked up my mic earlier. Anyway, Tuesday 9th is National Library Workers Day.
And Tuesday is National Librarian Day, which is April 16th. So if you want to stop on by and bring us some coffee, or at least me some coffee, I'd be happy with that.
I love gifts, of food especially.
Mm-hmm.
Money Smart Week runs from April 15th to the 21st, and Preservation Week runs from April 28th to May 4th. So you'll see most likely tables for the Money Smart Week.
Yeah, I'll be doing a display up on the second floor, and then I'm not sure about the third floor. Typically we tend to centralize it on the second floor, so.
But they'll have like a lot of helpful flyers to take away about like ways to save, tips and things, how to make a budget, things that our high school economics class should have taught us.
Yes.
And then Preservation Week is probably going to be more up here in the third floor in Lisa's area for archival preservation.
And then April is also National Poetry Month. So can you see why we picked the theme that we did this month?
I can totally tell you read that script.
I sure did. Sorry about that. I was like, I thought it was going to flow, and it didn't flow, so.
It flows
So
when I
that-
wrote it.
Okay.
Anyway, actually, I think our very first podcast we'd done was in April, me and Lana, and it was over poetry, which I don't like poetry very much. So that was difficult for me.
Oh.
It's just, my brain doesn't rap for poetry. I think I ended up picking like Lin-Manuel Miranda's Good Morning and Good Night tweets.
What did Lana pick?
I don't remember.
Oh, it's okay.
I want to say like Whitman, but I don't think it was Whitman. So, anyway, so going on to our ongoing program, April brings us another Fine Wave Drive. We are gathering supplies for our senior citizens Christmas. Let's see here, 2 full-size toiletry items, so like a full-size shampoo and conditioner, or a body wash, or hygiene items, so that could be anything, I guess, like floss, toothpaste, things like that.
Yeah.
And then washcloths, 2 of those, or a full-size bath towel. So this is, I wonder why they always call it Senior Citizens Christmas. Like, I guess I give it to my Christmas, but at the same time, it just seems like a sad Christmas. Like, here's some hygiene items. Like, they're necessities, but it's not fun stuff.
That's true.
So, anyway, that goes on in April, so if anybody's accumulated any fines in the past couple of months, we understand, and we are here to help you with our Fine Wave Drives.
Yes. April 26th, just so everybody knows, all branches will be closed for staff training, which is always super fun for us because we get to learn new things to hopefully help our service to our patrons. But yeah, all branches will be closed. So yeah, don't come by April 26th.
Well, the drop box will be open.
It will be open, just in case you need to return items.
But yeah, but we can't serve you. So D-Day oral history with Lisa is still going on, which kind of ties in nicely to the Preservation Week. So again, those are oral interviews of if anybody has any service members in their family that are still living, or if you are a service member, come share your stories, and she can even do it over the phone if they can't make it out of the house.
Absolutely.
But she's also more than happy to get oral audio from other wars and veterans too. It just the focus is on D-Day because of the anniversary coming up.
Also, Show Us Your Southern Grandma will be which is wrapping up in July.
Yeah.
But just as a reminder, it's just like a little snippet about your mama. If you've got pictures, we'd love to have copies of those. And she doesn't have to be from the South, like born and raised. She could be from anywhere in the United States or further, and just maybe kind of have landed in the South. So, yeah.
I want to say, why don't you have your Southern grandma down on that board?
I mean, technically, she doesn't live here, so.
Yeah, but they don't have to know that. So.
Yeah, well, maybe.
We could get Trevor to do his memo.
Yeah, I'll probably get Trevor to do his memo. But
like, there's so few ones on the board, and it's mostly staff members.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, oh, there's Lisa, there's Rhonda, so they're not all, like, from the exact area.
No. Okay.
And then Friends of King Family Library, those guys, the ones who sell you books, will have their yard sale May 4th. So that'll be coming up sooner rather than later. And I think that should be the one where they do the rentals out in the parking lot, and you can, like,
yes,
$20 per parking spot. That's what it's been. They could change it.
And it's usually rain or shine.
Rain or shine, and they'll sell books, and other people can come and sell stuff. So it used to be part of, like, the 10-mile long yard sale or something.
Yes, it did, and then we decided to branch off and do our own thing.
Yeah, so, which I hear that's actually back to the 10-mile yard sale. I think started up again last year.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Also, it's coming up on the most exciting time of year, summer reading. Early sign-up will be starting in May, so you can come up to the second floor, and I will get you all squared away for summer reading. And we hand out usually goodie bags to the first patrons that sign up and get their names on there and start reading, and they have more of an opportunity to win awesome prizes. So sign up as early as you can, which will be starting in May. So
when you started to say that, in my head it was like, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah. So
at the library,
yeah. Gotta get those sweet coupons, and I am gonna beat Susan this year. I think that Susan won you get put in a raffle, and for the staff has his own section, and I read so much last year. I put in one for every week, and I didn't win.
And Sweet Susan won.
Sweet Susan
That
won.
is the luck of the draw.
That is the luck of the draw. I have to read double time. I'm gonna put, like, a fake name. Like, I'll put Linda in.
Perfect.
Yeah, so topically we chose, this is actually Lana's, I think, idea, the books about libraries and librarians.
Okay.
She brainstormed this before she bowed out of the podcast, so it's kind of like a last hurrah in a way. Like, she just echoes every now and then. Like,
That's so sad.
Yeah, this was Lana's idea.
That's really sad. Okay, so I will dive in with my book. So I chose The Little Village of Book Lovers by Nina George. She is a German novelist, and also she teaches creative writing at a university in Germany. And I was going to write down that name, but I could not pronounce it, and so it is a university. So, but the bookshop itself, so I'll kind of dive in. So this is kind of like an interesting, it has its beginnings in this book, which is the Little Paris Bookshop, but the one in particular that I read was The Little Village of Book Lovers. So The Little Village of Book Lovers is a book within the Little Paris Bookshop. So does that make sense?
The book within a book.
The book within a book. And so I did not choose to read this one, but I wanted to read the one that sort of had its beginnings in her, it's not really a series, prequel, I don't know. But anyway, so there's a quote from it that I'm going to read, and it says, "Everyone knows me, but none can see me. I'm that thing you call love." So love is the protagonist. However, there is also a girl named Marie-Jean, and she experienced sort of death in a way, and how that affects sort of her relationships with people and that type of thing. So I don't want to give too much away. But I'm going to read a little snippet that I thought would, like, explain it perfectly. So, as a girl, Marie-Jean realizes that she can see the marks love has left on people around her. So love has kind of, like, made its mark on her. So she can see, like, tiny glowing lights on faces and hands that shimmer more brightly when the one meant for them is near. So she can see love, and she sees, like, sort of like true love in a sense.
Soulmate AU.
Yes.
I love this in fanfiction.
So, and then she starts to play matchmaker within her village, and yeah, so it kind of explains how she finds love for people, but she can't truly recognize it when her soulmate is near. So
This reminds me of like several different tropes. So like a book within a book makes me think of like there's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell who writes basically like it's about fan fiction and it's loosely Harry Potter fiction the girl's writing about in college and it's called the Simon Snow series. And then later Rowell comes out with the Simon Snow series, which was the series within Fangirl. Except it might have been the fan fiction version of the series. Yeah, it was the fan fiction version of the series with Fangirl. Anyway, so there's that, and then it also makes me think of Emma, because by Jane Austen, where she's trying to get like pair people together. But then it also makes me think of the soulmate AU that you see. AU means alternate universe in fan fiction, so where you'll have like a ship or something, and there's all kinds of like the popular ones are like there's like the Red String of Fate, where you're attached to somebody, or there's like seeing color for the first time, or soul words, like there's a part of a phrase on your body and it's like the first words that your soulmate would say to you. Like there's all kinds. They're really popular, really fun.
Interesting.
I wrote one, so
I feel like it was really a cute thing. So I won't give too much away, but I do want to talk about how this book sort of alludes to bibliotherapy, which I've not heard of before, so I had to look it up. And it's basically about how you can read certain books and they can like help you in the process of like healing. So this particular book talks about like the fear of death and how that fear holds us back from living life, the mourning process and all of that sort of stuff. And it said that she wrote this book right after her father passed away. So there's just like, you know.
So it's like the idea of through other people's works that we can find healing, or we can explore avenues of thought and stuff.
Yeah.
You said one of the protagonists is love, like as like the feeling, as the.
It's like an actual person.
Oh, so love is a person, sort of like Cupid, maybe.
Not really, sort of just like a being, I guess. I
bet I wonder if it's like death in The Book Thief, because that's a character.
Okay. I have read that, but I don't.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's one of my favorite books, which was also like I probably could have reread it for the like. If we had more room for a display up here, that would be up here. I think that was one of the books I interviewed, not interviewed, but like during my interview to work here, I think one of the questions was like, what's one of your favorite books? And that was like my knee-jerk reaction was like, The Book Thief, which Rhonda also really enjoyed. So that's what got me the job, though. I think my library, my card catalog socks got me the job.
Probably.
Yeah. So
as it does. So that's just a little bit about my book, and it's also semi-autobiographical. So I don't know, it didn't say to what extent or in what way. So I just thought that was kind of fun, a nice little tidbit.
I do have a question. Since it's sort of like a romancy book, can you kind of tell who her intended person's supposed to be?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it like a grumpy sunshine? What kind of like dynamic is that?
I won't give too much away. I don't want to ruin it.
Alright, I guess that moves on to me.
Yeah.
I read The Library book by Susan Orlean, and I thought, my friend gifted it for me for Christmas. This is Seymour's copy up here on our display here. But I read my copy that I got for Christmas this year, and I thought it was actually fiction. I didn't look at it. I think because I saw it was like a Reese Witherspoon choice, my brain just immediately thought it was fiction.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a nonfiction book, and it's about, so Orlean's wrote books, and she's also been a reporter and things like that, and she moved out to California, where she rediscovers her loves for libraries, because as a kid, her and her mom would always go, and that was sort of like their thing, like even if they didn't spend time together in the library, that was like, they'd go in, her mom would go to her section, she'd go to her section, and then they'd meet back up, and like she remembers having like the books piled up in her lap in the car, and you know, the crinkly feeling of the covers and stuff like that. But as she got older and she got her own money, because growing up she didn't really have books in the house because her parents used libraries, she went off and started buying a lot of books, and then so she kind of fell out of libraries. But when she moved to California and around to LA with her husband and son, she wanted to take her son. Actually, no, her son wanted to do an interview. They were supposed to interview like an employee, a civil servant sort of thing, and he wanted to interview a librarian. So they went back to the main library, and she discovers that the Central Branch burned down April 29th, 1986. And she was like, how did I not know about this? Because it was overshadowed by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. So it did eventually sort of make news, but not in the huge way it probably should have. And so she takes us on a journey back and forth between the history of the Los Angeles public library system, the library itself, the day of the fire, and then the investigation of the hapless arson suspect Harry Peaks, the restoration of the center of the library, how the library evolved to serve its patrons, and in the present, and how it hopes to evolve in the future. So it's constantly like she's weaving a narrative, but she's bouncing between. She doesn't give you every chronologically. She'll be like, so this is why I love libraries, and then this is me going to the library the first time and hearing about it being set on fire, and then this is Harry Peaks and who he was, and then she starts to unfold the investigation and things like that, and then she'll jump back in time to the first when the library got started in the 1800s and all the different head of librarians and stuff. So some of the casualties from the fire, which was, I think, still is the largest library fire in the United States, not nearly in the world because of book burnings and things, but in the United States. I'm trying not to butcher this again. So the 1860 copy of Don Quixote. Okay, yeah, Don Quixote. I always read that as Don Juan for some reason, and I know it makes no sense. A book by the architect Andrea Palladio from the 1500s. 5.5 million American patents from 1799 and up. Same for Canadian patents they had at the same time period. A leaf from the 1635 Coverdale Bible, which was the first complete translation in modern English. There's a whole bunch more, thousands of books, microfilm, magazines, a good chunk of their fiction, a good chunk of their nonfiction. I think they said their whole Christianity Bible section was wiped out. It was a lot of books. I think they said it was the equivalent of 15 branches books burning if you piled it all together. And there's more statistics in there, but that was just kind of the ones I think people would be interested in. She mentioned Shakespeare's folio was at the library, but she didn't mention if it was burned, so it made me wonder if it did. Mm-hmm. But what most surprised me was how large the Los Angeles library system is, because you sort of, not that I naively think we're the biggest library or anything, but because this is the biggest outside of a university that I've been, I'm oh, this is a good size, mm-hmm. or whatever. We have 3 branches. That's nothing to sneeze at. No, they have 72 branches. They have a whole shipping department. Our shipping, we just pull stuff in a bin and we courier it back and forth with our librarians. It's not a big deal. They have trucks. They take it. And they have people that pack it. Sort of like an Amazon warehouse. Wow. It's just. They get $172 or $172 million in their annual budget as of the time she wrote this. It could have gone up or down. I don't know. It's a lot of money. It's not as much as the fire department in LA, but it's more than the zoo kids.
It really makes me wonder how many checkouts they get per day. And
I want to say that's something 200 employees among all the branches.
And we have 20.
Yeah,
I think among our branches, maybe more. Yeah.
But I think she says, I just flipping through couldn't immediately find the specific statistic, but it's so many books. So it's it's interesting to see how a large library that operates with 6 or 7, 8 floors or however many, and then different departments, and they have security guards. I think they have mm-hmm. a staff of 30 something security guards, and how they deal with the homeless and try to have programs for them. And the one they were talking about, which I don't know if it actually took off or not, I hope it did, it was called The Source, and they had a bunch of different services food stamps and healthcare and all that all in one room, so then the people didn't have to worry about driving across town or to fill out. They could just do it all, whatever their problem was, they could go and get it filled out in one stop.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's just interesting. I'd like to go take a field trip and just see, but these are people who probably have big library science degrees and things like that. And
did you were you with us when we went to Nashville and toured that?
Yeah,
that was fun.
But that was
huge.
Quick though.
It was, yeah, but it's big. I mean, compared to ours, and the fact that they had security guards and that sort of thing.
But it also the state library. This is just the LA library.
Yeah, that's true.
And what was equally fascinating is how the library developed and the kind of characters they had as directors through the year. one of the directors walked from Ohio to California. Walked. And then he like wrote a travel narrative about it.
Wow.
And
For fun, or?
yeah, he was like, he liked libraries, but he had like no library science. He was a writer. He was known for being a writer. He, I think, only served for like 5 years. He was very controversial. So I think he did some good things, like bringing in flair and character to the library, but necessarily maybe not systematically. And also, like, the library was originally run by like female librarians until the one librarian came in, and then it kind of switched to being a male-dominated field for a while.
Interesting.
And then it switched back to being a female-dominated sphere. So, like, even now, I think it tends to be there's more female librarians than male librarians. So it's kind of interesting to see, like, historically how that flipped and flopped.
So, not that this really has anything to do with it, so why did he set it on fire?
They couldn't prove he set it on fire. And then it gets into the last.
Okay, interesting.
So he was blamed for it, but at the same time, they couldn't be conclusive as evidence. And she goes on to talk and explains how it's very difficult to investigate arson because it's literally burning up the evidence.
Yeah.
So, and how even in recent years they've looked about how they do arson investigations and have actually acquitted a lot of people that have already been charged for arson because it's just, with the facts they know now, it doesn't add up. So, no, Harry Peaks died of AIDS.
Oh, okay.
So, but he was never like formally charged or anything, and they don't think he was. He was one of those people who like. I feel like he was a compulsive liar, but he was a harmless compulsive liar because he was always changing his stories up.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. But again, you don't really know for sure because you listen to some of his stories and you're like, oh, he did it. And sometimes you're like, no, he didn't. Because he said he did it, but he also liked to spin tall tales to get people's like reactions and stuff. And he did that throughout his whole life. So it's not necessarily like he did it. He just had heard about it and did it. Or maybe he was there, saw it, and then claimed he did it. So you never know. That's one of the mysteries of just, you know.
Have they like put certain things in place like to make it less?
Well, they had to rebuild the library. Obviously, they didn't have to like knock it from scratch or anything. Actually, a lot of it was salvageable. But then they went ahead and got the addition, which I think has like 4 stories underground and 4 stories above ground, and it was really interesting. Like they had to sell they could sell airspace as part of the real estate to get money to do to finish the million dollar expansion.
Wow, interesting.
But where was I going with that? There was one thing. They were even before that though. Like the library, I think the new center branch before it was like on fire. I think was built in 1928 or something, early 1920s, and it was like by the 1980s, it had like I think over 160 something fire violations. Like.
Wow.
The wiring was so bad they can only use like really low watt bulbs. They couldn't keep like their coffee pot plugged up or anything. Like it had no central air and heating. They had to put box fans and stuff in.
Oh wow.
So like it was an old building and really needed to be updated anyway. So they can't prove like if it was a wire failure or someone dropped a match. You know, you don't know.
Interesting.
So, but it's a really good read for nonfiction. I would recommend it. So. That brings us for a close. I think our next topic is popular authors that we haven't read. So people like James Patterson, C.J. Box, Kristen Hanna.
Debbie Makeover.
Debbie Makeover. I think I might pick Four Winds because I haven't read her and that one goes around, but I'm not sold on it. I've read James Patterson as a teenager, like his teen stuff, so I don't really care to read the adult stuff. I'm not big on thrillers, so. She's my guess because she's historical fiction generally.
She is.
But yeah, it could change if I shelf something and see it and go, oh, that sounds good. So, but yeah, it's like big name authors that we've never read that a lot of our patrons check out. And you're like, oh, I need to read that.
E.L. James.
E.L. James, yeah. She wrote 50 Shades, is that it? Oh,
yeah,
God, I was like, what's that familiar? She wrote other things besides 50 Shades?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I think she might have one other book that's maybe not from that.
Should we say Nora Roberts?
I don't know.
There's Nora Roberts and her.
Danielle Steele, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think Nora Roberts also does like something Rob, like in
J.D. Robb.
J.D. Robb, yeah. So like, But there's sometimes when I'm shelving books and I've never heard of the author and they've got like shelves of stuff.
Yes.
What do you write? What do you write? It's Amish fiction. It's not always Amish fiction.
No.
But sometimes it's Amish fiction.
Yeah, definitely.
We could read Amish fiction.
We could. That would be interesting. I'd love to hear your take.
I read, it wasn't Amish, but it was a nice, like, wholesome Christian fiction, and, I think the title was A Promise for Spring, and I got it, like, at Walmart when I was a teenager. It was basically, like, this bride, it was, when they were expanding out west or something, you could, like, if you stayed on a homestead for so many years, you got a parcel of land, so this man from UK went out and did that, and then he sends for his bride, and then she's like, I don't recognize this man anymore, you know, I don't know who he is. And of course they end up being together. Yeah, there's a nice old black couple who kind of helps them reconcile and stuff, and you're like, oh, this is so good. But looking back, it's like solid Christian fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we might have had it on the shelves. I don't know if it's...
That name sounds really familiar, so I don't know.
It has sunflowers on the cover. Like, I could point it out if I saw that. And I've seen someone check it out before. I just don't know if it's, like, still on the shelf or not.
I don't know.
So, anyway... Off on that tangent if you want to read that book. A Promise for Spring. I don't remember who the author is. It's got sunflowers on the cover.
You're so silly.
Yeah. Alright, so that wraps it up. Hopefully we didn't take too long today.
No, thank you for listening.
Thank you, as always.
Stopping by. We'll see you next month.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dan.